Good morning and happy Wednesday. I'm Michaela Chavez. Brian and Michelle have the day off. Let's turn it over to meteorologist Stephen Jones, who's standing by with a look at your roadways before you head out the door this morning. Hey, Stephen, happy hump day.
Well, good morning. Happy Wednesday to you as well, Michaela.
Thank you.
Not too bad out there. Just a little humid for me. What about you?
It was a little bit humid. I mentioned before that I could see the little condensation on my windshield this morning.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's definitely going to be out there. You want to get on the windshield wipers, keep the headlights on, seeing the patchy fog. It's not the best, but I think we're getting used to the humidity out there a little bit. But luckily, as you see behind me, plenty of greens on the board out there. Let's get a good in-depth look here at some of our roadways. Here's the Harbor Bridge to and from Portland this morning. Going to be good and green both those directions if you're heading out that way. Into Corpus Christi, at least our major roadways, Ocean Drive not looking too bad this morning, as well as SPID, Saratoga, and Crosstown Expressway. No major slowdowns to report as of right now. As we work our way a little bit closer over towards the island into that Flower Bluff area, looking at Flower Bluff Drive, just a minor slowdown there. That's going to be the same story for Waldron Road as we're looking out and about this morning. But as we look towards the Naval Air Station, it looks like they've got a pretty hefty slowdown there as you get closer to the gates. Not too abnormal, but a little bit more than what we normally see, I guess I would say. As we're looking at some of those drive times for you out the door this morning, looking from downtown to the island, sitting about 21 minutes. Portland to downtown sitting at that 8-minute mark over the Harbor Bridge. Cal Allen to downtown sitting around 14 minutes or so. So wherever you're coming from and then going to this morning, going to be good and green to head out the door and then kick off your Wednesday morning.
Some devastating news out of Robstown. An early evening shooting left a 14-year-old boy dead on Tuesday. The shooting happened at the Figueroa Square apartments on Ruben Chavez. No arrest has been made. Several roads around the scene of the shooting have been closed because of the ongoing investigation. We'll update you on this shooting as more information becomes available.
Inner Harbor Desal made a comeback at Corpus Christi City Council today, and council wasted no time reshaping how this project moves forward.
It's a shame that we are back here again, and I'm going to use that word, a shame.
That frustration set the tone as the Inner Harbor Desal project returned to City Hall, just weeks after council voted to end the city's contract with the first team working on it. Council approved a new memorandum of understanding with Corpus Christi Desal partners, one that lets the city get a fresh price. No construction approved, just a reset.
This would be first base. We've got second base, third base, and then sliding into home.
Council also voted to begin immediate environmental studies, research that will show them the impacts to the bay.
The public needs to know if it's safe or not.
From there, the focus shifted to cost. At-large Councilwoman Carolyn Vaughn says she's open to getting a new price because this step doesn't raise anyone's bill.
We all have to be open-minded. Who does not want to hear that? It's costing the city nothing.
And she reminded the room why she opposed the earlier path.
I have been consistent in my message from the get-go. It's the cost. $1.2 billion was too much money to put on our ratepayers.
For District 3 Councilman Eric Cantu, those worries are already showing up in his district.
You know, it's either my water bill or my medications. You know, and it's sad, but that's how people are living today.
Either their meds or their electricity, now it's their water.
Public comment echoed those worries and delivered some of the strongest lines of the night.
You cannot serve God and mammon, and you cannot serve the people and special interests.
So Inner Harbor Desal moves forward for now, but the big yes or no vote is still months away. From the studio, Suzanne Stevens, Chris 6 News.
Thank you, Suzanne. Neighbors gathered outside City Hall on Tuesday to speak out against the city's decision to bring back the Inner Harbor Desal project. Discussions surrounding the $1.2 billion project halted nearly 2 months ago, but on Tuesday, it returned to the city council agenda, this time with the idea that it could move forward at no cost to the city. Still, some say the project comes at a different kind of cost for those living near the Inner Harbor. Neighbors opposing the Inner Harbor desalination project say they'll continue pressuring city leaders as plans move forward.
Well, good morning and happy Wednesday there, Coastal Bend. I'm meteorologist Stephen Jones, taking a live look out at our Snoopy Skycam thanks to Matthew CCAC. You can see a nice morning on our hands, a lot of that low cloud cover, if not patchy fog developing, though, with all that tropical moisture returning. 77 degrees, winds out of the southeast about 8 miles an hour here on our Snoopy Skycam, and even some early boaters out there as well as we're starting off our Wednesday morning. Taking a look back at our Tuesday, though, we were record chasing, got up to 88 degrees compared to that record of 90 back in 2017. The morning lows not even close. That record was 30 degrees back in 1959, and we need a lot of rain to make up for 2025 so far, but luckily there is some back on the board. Those current temperatures in your neighborhood: Kingsville, the cool spot at about 69 degrees. The rest of us rounding out in the 70s this morning, those upper 70s even, as you work your way along the coast. And as we have those dew points in the 70s, it's the perfect recipe for some patchy fog to develop. Seeing over there in Alice and Kingsville, some of those reduced visibilities in the southern coastal bend area. Robstown coming in about 2.5 miles. Beeville at that 3-mile mark, so definitely keep the headlights on and give yourself a couple extra minutes out the door this morning. Taking a look at your dog walking forecast today, we've got Samantha here, or Sam for short, of course, ready to go on her walk, and taking a look at those temperatures for her. Not too bad this morning, just a little humid. 80 degrees there by 9 a.m., 83 by 11 a.m. Those winds out of the south, of course, about 10 to 15 miles an hour as we're heading closer to that lunchtime hour as well. And forecast highs in your neighborhood going to be those mid 80s along the coast, upper 80s as you work your way inland, very similar to what we were seeing yesterday, but with the humidity in the 70s, at least those dew points going to be making it feel like it's in the 90s by peak heating today. The upper level pattern showing you some hope on the horizon, though, at least in terms of rain. This upper level trough working in by the weekend and into that Monday time frame, going to stir up enough upper level energy, and with the moisture we already have in place, leads to some good daily rain chances on the way for Corpus Christi, which is in our 7-day forecast. You can see nearly those daily rain chances with the next cold front on the board by next Monday night. That's going to cool us off in overnight lows from those 70s to the lower 60s by Monday night.
I'm Joe St. George on Capitol Hill in Washington. Could the country be on the verge of a health care policy debate that potentially makes some health insurance plans cheaper? What are some of the ideas? Could they become law? We break it down next.
Welcome back, everyone. It is 6:10 on your Wednesday, or hump day morning, and lots of you guys are starting to head out to work, take the kiddos to school. Hopefully it's that last week of school before Thanksgiving break for many of you guys. As Steven says, wherever you're going, we're hoping that you guys have a great day. But now on to some news in healthcare. We're less than 6 weeks away from health insurance premiums increasing for millions of Americans, especially those who get their insurance through the Affordable Care Act marketplace. Now, the White House, as well as leaders in Congress, are signaling interest in a health care reform bill that could be voted on before the end of the year. So what ideas are being discussed, and how might they impact your wallet? Our Joe St. George reports.
Could the country soon be on the verge of a major health care policy debate that may make some health insurance plans cheaper? It's at least a possibility in the coming weeks here on Capitol Hill. So what are some of the ideas, and more importantly, could any of them become law? The cost of health care is one of the biggest issues facing the country. A recent Scripps News Talker Research survey found that 1 in 4 Americans report health care as their most important issue. An October AP NORC poll found about 6 in 10 Americans extremely or very concerned about health care costs going up next year. With Republicans controlling the House, the Senate, and the White House, the odds of any new health care policy change likely starts with conservatives, who are actively talking about policy changes ahead of premium hikes for millions taking effect in January.
We've got to be a little bit more creative than just the federal government throwing money at it.
One lawmaker to watch during this debate is Republican Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, a doctor himself. Senator Cassidy's plan is different from what Democrats want, because Democrats want to send billions of taxpayer dollars to extend subsidies expiring in December related to insurance plans created by the Affordable Care Act. The Cassidy plan calls for sending that money to healthcare flexible savings accounts instead, so taxpayers can pay for costs related to their health. He recently explained his plan on the Senate floor.
It goes to an account that she controls, that she can spend on her physician, her dental care, her prescriptions. We need to empower her
Cassidy says he is working with the White House on legislation and believes a vote is possible before the end of the year. President Trump previously endorsed a version of this, posting on Truth Social, the taxpayer dollars should, quote, be sent directly to the people so that they can purchase their own much better health care and have money left over. But many Democrats on Capitol Hill are skeptical of that plan and do not believe such legislation can pass before January. Democratic Senator Jeanne Shaheen of New Hampshire, a key figure in this debate, is working with Republicans for an extension of existing Affordable Care Act subsidies, the same subsidies that were central to the recent government shutdown. Shaheen has indicated a willingness to potentially accept new income limits as part of a deal.
I'm 100% committed to getting this done.
Joe St. George, Scripps News Group, Washington.
Well, good Wednesday morning there, Coastal Bend. I'm meteorologist Stephen Jones, taking a live look out at our USS Lexington Cam. Thanks to First Community Bank, you can see the new Harbor Bridge in view. Quite a few cars starting to take off along it as well now, and some of that patchy fog out and about as you're starting off your Wednesday morning. Current temperatures in your neighborhood: Kingsville, the cool spot at 69 degrees, then the warm spot going to be over towards Ingleside, Port Aransas, and the Naval Air Station, all rounding us out about 77 degrees, and then off towards the northwest, Cotulla coming in at 76 degrees. So all of us definitely feeling the air you can wear out there as we're starting off our Wednesday morning. As we're looking off at your current winds, only about 5 to 10 miles an hour out there, out of the southeast, continuing to bring in that Gulf moisture into the area. So we're going to still see that air you can wear as we go through these next few days. Taking a look at your dog walking forecast through the morning hours. Today we've got Sam on the board here, ready to go on her walk, of course, just waiting there for it. As we look at those temperatures, about 9 a.m. to 80 degrees is what we're looking at. 11 a.m. sitting at 83 degrees, still those mid 80s by the lunchtime hour, with winds out of the south about 10 to 15 miles an hour as we're starting off our afternoon. Forecast highs in your neighborhood similar to what we saw yesterday with those mid 80s along the coast, upper 80s as you work your way inland. Unfortunately, though, feels like temperatures likely to get up into those mid 90s at times, thanks to all that moisture that we're seeing across the area. For your future tracker, you could see some isolated shower activity going through the morning hours this today for our Wednesday. So in your morning commute, maybe provide a couple extra minutes as you're heading out the door. Could see a few drops on the windshield as you're heading out and about. But the main story for Texas, at least Central Texas, is going to be this whenever we see more development, at least into Central Texas, thanks to the upper level energy, the swath of rain that's going to make its way through about San Angelo into that Austin to Waco area. Could pick up a good amount of rainfall up there. Luckily, does even fall in areas of our northern watershed just to the west of San Antonio. So we'll see exactly how much we pick up over there. They could definitely use it. Still seeing some of that severe to extreme drought off into Central Texas, and we could use it here into Corpus Christi as well. Luckily, we start to see some more on our board by the time we're heading into the weekend. And starting off next week, you can see those temperatures decreasing to the lower 80s by Tuesday, with overnight lows going to those lower 60s.
Coming up, the Corpus Christi Ice Rays showed up and showed out for the community. We show you how when we come back. Welcome back. Members of the Corpus Christi Ice Rays hockey team were doing some heavy lifting at the Coastal Bend Food Bank Tuesday afternoon. The Ice Rays put their winning moves to work by sorting and packing food donations. With the holidays just around the corner, volunteers and food donations are a big need right now, so the Ice Rays were more than glad to help out. Team members also got something in return.
Again, life lessons, they come in different forms, right? So it's important for us to, do this, be humble. There's a lot of people who struggle. So anytime we can help out, that's what we want to do.
Ice Rays will hold a canned food drive next weekend. And get this, fans who bring in at least 5 canned goods will get a ticket to the game. The canned food collected will go to the Coastal Bend Food Bank. And the city's Meals on Wheels program is getting a huge financial boost from HEB. The city council voted on Tuesday to accept a $75,000 donation from HEB. The Parks and Recreation Department's Meals on Wheels program provides home-delivered meals to our senior citizens. This year, the program was able to serve nearly 52,000 meals. Tuesday's donation will increase that number by 9,600.
Well, good Wednesday morning there. Coastal Bend taking a live look out at our USS Lexington cam. Thanks to First Community Bank, you can see the Harbor Bridge in view, but a little haze on the horizon, a little bit of patchy fog starting to develop out there that we're seeing across areas of the Coastal Bend. So definitely keep those headlights on and give yourself a couple extra minutes out the door. But when we're looking at that traffic flow, luckily lots of green on the board. Let's take an in-depth look here at the Harbor Bridge to and from Portland this morning. Going to be good and green both directions if you're heading out and about that way. Into Corpus Christi, Ocean Drive, no major slowdowns to report, as well as SPID, Saratoga, and then Crosstown Expressway. All three coming in the clear. The only minor slowdown there, Rodfield, as you're getting close to SPID right now. As we're looking over into Flower Bluff Drive, as well as Waldron Road, both looking good and green this morning. Just the normal slowdown we see closer to the gates there at the Naval Air Station. Some of those drive times for you this morning, sitting 22 minutes from downtown to the island, and everywhere looking good and green. So wherever you're coming from and going to, going to be good and green to head out the door and kick off your Wednesday morning.
I'm John Mattery's. Plumbing costs can be very expensive these days. A simple faucet drip costing hundreds of dollars to fix. But I'll show you how shopping around and maybe a little DIY work could save you plenty of money.
Now, weather on the 6s.
Well, good Wednesday morning there. Coastal Bend taking a live look out at Snoopy's Skycam. Thanks to Matthew CCAC, you can see quite a bit of low cloud cover, if not patchy fog, across areas of the Coastal Bend. A few cars starting to take the causeway as well now as we're heading towards that 6:30 a.m. hour, but not too bad as we're starting off the day. Just a little bit of that air you can wear, definitely very humid as you're stepping out the door today. Taking a look back at yesterday, it was a record-chasing Tuesday for us. We got up to 88 degrees. That record was 90 back from 2017. The morning lows, not so much. We were a light 42 degrees off of that record. 30 degrees was that record back in 1959, and rainfall-wise, almost 13 inches needed to make up for 2025, at least in terms of where we should be in terms of that rainfall. Temperatures in your neighborhood, 77 for both Port Aransas and the Naval Air Station this morning. Kingsville, the cool spot at about 70 degrees. Here in town, 74. That's going to be the same number off to the north in Beeville this morning. So like I said, just a little bit of humidity definitely you'll notice as you're stepping out the door, and all of us enjoying a nice southeasterly flow. Only about 5 to 10 miles an hour out there right now. Going to pick up about 10 to 15 miles an hour, if not even upwards of 20 miles an hour as we go into our afternoon. But with the light winds out there right now and the dew points and temperatures so close together, the perfect recipe for some patchy fog to develop, and we're seeing that reduced visibility down in Kingsville, especially right now. Robstown coming in around 2.5 miles, 4 miles the number for Orange Grove, Beeville, as well as Ingleside and Rockport this morning. Pretty common out there. So definitely keep the headlights on and give yourself a couple extra minutes out the door. For your dog walking forecast today, we've got Samantha here on the board, or at least Sam for short, ready to go on her walk, just waiting for it. And those temperatures not going to shape up too bad. 9 a.m. looking at 80 degrees, 83 there by 11 a.m. Still those mid 80s as we're heading into the lunch hour with winds out of the south. Like I said, 10 to 15 miles an hour, picking up just a little bit more as we're heading into those afternoon hours. For peak heating, in terms of those forecast highs, the mid 80s along the coast, upper 80s as you work your way inland. Very similar to what we saw yesterday, but with all that humidity in place, unfortunately going to feel quite a bit warmer as we go into those afternoon hours, feeling like 94 to 95 degrees by about 2 to 4 p.m. before we start that nightly cool down, only getting down to around feels like temperatures in those at around that 80 degree mark, but then we do it all again as we're heading into our Thursday, another warm one on the way for us. For your future tracker today, could see a little bit of isolated shower development going into the morning hours for your morning commute. Luckily no major downpours out and about, but we could sure use any rain that we could get. The main rain today going to be off towards Del Rio and into central Texas, at least the hill country area, going into the overnight hours and then spreading into tomorrow. You can see definitely looks like they're going to get a lot of rain from this system spreading into central Texas as we go into tomorrow night, but hopefully we start to see some more working into the area by the weekend, and that's exactly what it's looking like right now. Whenever we're taking a look at the upper level pattern, here's what I'm talking about. That next weather maker on the board, if you keep your eyes by the west coast, going to send a lot of its energy our way by the weekend and into Monday especially. That's going to stir up that upper level energy, and with the moisture we already have in place, looking like some decent rain chances on the way for the coastal bend, especially from Friday night into that Monday time frame, peaking in that widely scattered activity. So not going to be any widespread downpours out there, but hopefully we all pick up a good maybe quarter of an inch to even an inch of rain on the higher end from this system. Looking at your 7-day forecast, a slow cool down for us on the way, going into those lower 80s by the time we're starting off next week, with that next cold front on the board cooling us off in overnight lows down to those lower 60s.
Coming up in this week's Veterans in Focus, a film is taking pain from the past and turning it into advocacy for veterans today. The message one producer is hoping to get across next.
This is Veterans in Focus, sponsored by the Heil Law Firm, battling for justice, winning for the community.
Welcome back. For this week's Veterans in Focus, we highlight a local group that's using the power of film to spark a much deeper conversation. The Veterans Roundtable of Corpus Christi will present a 20-minute preview of a 3-part documentary Thursday. It's called Firewatch, and the message is exactly that.
Veterans were not trained to give up. They were trained to fight. Bigger than us. It's our life.
All this work, I know, has meaning.
500 hours of footage, now shaped into a story ready to be told.
It's a pro-military American veteran story.
It's going to hit you hard. It's probably going to trigger some things, but it's important that you understand it and get behind it.
That this isn't about blaming. It's highlighting what went wrong and what still needs to be done right.
The 3-part series, Firewatch, comes from executive producer Joel M. Gonzalez.
Firewatch obviously is the military term for standing watch through the night, but the bill stalled. Everyone said, no, we're going to stay here and we're going to do Firewatch, and we're going to continue to protest.
He took on the project in 2022. The film is a thank you to veterans and to look at the sacrifices they've carried.
Going to Afghanistan and Iraq, being exposed to bird pits, and then not getting the benefits.
It also features local veterans advocates Leroy and Rosie Torres. They're co-founders of Burn Pits 360.
Born from grief, driven by justice, fueled by love. So the first episode, it's Rosie's story, it's Leroy's story.
Gonzalez says the message is just as urgent now.
My hope for the film is that it becomes an advocacy piece, continues to hold negligence accountable. Just because it's passed doesn't mean it's protected.
Corpus Christi is only the 3rd city in the nation to preview the documentary. A release date for the documentary hasn't been set yet. There are still legal clearances that need to be ironed out. Once that's taken care of, Gonzalez hopes to release the documentary on a streaming service or release it independently.
That law was actually born here, Robstown, Texas. Little Robstown, Texas passed a big law like that.
After the screening, JJ plans to brief veterans on the PACT Act.
It hits you with this film, and then I'm going to teach you what you can apply for.
As for Gonzalez, he wants the film to leave people inspired and motivated, and eventually find a wider release.
I see the film supporting the advocacy, and then the advocacy amplifying the film. So when you create something and see other people take it in, and it lands the way you hope it would, that's an honor for us.
You don't have to be a veteran to attend the roundtable this Thursday. It'll take place from 9 to 11 a.m. at Del Mar Center for Economic Development, room 106. And if you'd like to help with fundraising efforts to get the 3-part documentary released, just look for my story on ChrisTV.com. In Valfurias, the Lopez-Williams VFW Post 7634 is fighting for survival. New members are needed to keep the post from shutting down. Neighborhood News reporter Melissa Trevino spoke with Post Commander Ricardo Rubio. He says they don't have enough members to operate the post. On paper, they have 41 members, but because of age and medical issues, only about 9 regularly show up. Rubio has until mid-December to recruit the help he needs.
I've been visited by the district commanders, and they told me that if I don't get enough people to come in and help share this load of responsibility, that they're going to suspend the post.
If that suspension happens, the post would have 6 months to fix the problem, or the 70-year-old post could close for good. If you'd like to join the post and help them out, call 361-415-4252.
Well, good morning and happy Wednesday there, Coastal Bend. I'm meteorologist Stephen Jones, taking a live look out at our Snoopy's Pier sky cam. Thanks to Matthew CCAC, you can see quite a bit of that low cloud cover out and about. Even some patchy fog is developing in some of our inland communities. Sitting here at Snoopy's Pier at 77 degrees, those winds out of the southeast about 8 miles an hour. Pretty common for a lot of us across the Coastal Bend this morning. Definitely going to feel that air you can wear as you step out the door, looking at the dew points in your neighborhood. Sitting in those mid 70s along the coast, 75 from Rockport to Port Aransas, even to the Naval Air Station. The driest air, if you will, 70 degrees for that dew point in Kingsville, but still definitely going to be feeling like the air you can wear as you're stepping out the door. Likely to see a lot of dew on the cars, if not, like I said, some of that patchy fog out and about this morning. Taking a look in your neighborhood, seeing some of those reduced visibilities, especially over towards Kingsville, down to around that just less than 1 statute mile there. 3.2 is the number over in Alice, 4.3 there in Beeville, and like I said, all of us coming in the 60s. Kingsville looking at about 69 degrees, that cool spot this morning as well, with those winds out of the southeast for most of us about 5 to 10 miles an hour. Those are going to pick up into the afternoon hours, about that 10 to even 20 mile an hour mark. So a little bit of a breezy afternoon, but not too bad compared to what we're used to. For today's forecast here in Corpus Christi, I'm looking about 87 degrees is the number I'm going for that daytime high, but the feels like temperature likely to get to 94 or 95 degrees thanks to those dew points in the 70s. So a little bit of a toasty afternoon on the way, and we could see a couple isolated showers developing across our morning commute hours, but likely going into the afternoon, we'll probably stay dry for the most part. Those better rain chances with all the moisture that we have in the area going to remain in the area, and we'll see that make its way into the coastal bend by the time we're heading into the weekend and starting off next week. I'll go over all those rain chances and the full 7-day forecast coming up in just a bit.
Now, 20 minutes of non-stop news, sponsored by Ewald Kubota.
Thank you so much for joining us for our 20 minutes of nonstop news. I'm Michaela Chavez. Brian and Michelle have the day off. We have plenty of neighborhood news for you this morning. But first, let's check in with meteorologist Stephen Jones. Good morning, Stephen. Happy Hump Day.
Oh, good morning. Happy Wednesday to you as well, Michaela.
Thank you.
Not too bad out there today. Just a little bit of humidity. Definitely a lot of humidity as we're stepping out the door, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I saw it too.
Yeah, definitely a little warm for late November, but we could start to cool down later in the week. Of course, that's more weather related. Want to focus on those roadways for right now. Here's a live look out at our SPID sky cam, and you can see the traffic flowing nice and smooth out there. A few more cars definitely starting to hit the roadway though as we're getting closer to that 7 a.m. hour, but luckily not seeming like it's too many major slowdowns out and about. You could see just a little bit of that reduced visibility as well, so please keep your headlights on out the door as well. Getting an in-depth look here at the Harbor Bridge to and from Portland this morning if you're heading out and about that way. Good and green both directions as we're starting off our Wednesday morning. Into Corpus Christi, Ocean Drive, no major slowdowns to report, as well as SPID Saratoga, just a minor slowdown there as you get closer to Crosstown Expressway. Crosstown Expressway itself, though, looking good and green both directions this morning as we work our way a little bit closer over towards the island. Flower Bluff now. Flower Bluff Drive looking good and green both directions, although Waldron Road does have a minor slowdown there to just be mindful of as we're starting off our Wednesday, and the normal slowdown we see closer to the gates there at the Naval Air Station. Some of those drive times for you this morning, sitting about 22 minutes from downtown to the island, 8 minutes from Portland to downtown, 15 from Cal Island to downtown. So wherever you're coming from and going to, good and green to start off your Wednesday morning.
Thanks, Stephen. We will check back in with you in just a bit. Here's a look at what's going on in your neighborhood today. Some devastating news out of Robstown. An early evening shooting left a 14-year-old boy dead on Tuesday. The shooting happened at the Figueroa Square Apartments on Ruben Chavez. No arrest has been made. Several roads around the scene of the shooting have been closed because of the ongoing investigation. We'll update you on this shooting as more information becomes available.
It's a shame that we are back here again, and I'm going to use that word, a shame.
That frustration set the tone as the Inner Harbor Desal project returned to City Hall, just weeks after council voted to end the city's contract with the first team working on it. Council approved a new memorandum of understanding with Corpus Christi Desal partners, one that lets the city get a fresh price. No construction approved, just a reset.
This would be first base. We've got second base, third base, and then sliding into home.
Council also voted to begin immediate environmental studies, research that will show them the impacts to the bay.
The public needs to know if it's safe or not.
Thank you, Suzanne. Neighbors gathered outside City Hall on Tuesday to speak out against the city's decision to bring back the Inner Harbor Desal project. Discussions surrounding the $1.2 billion project halted nearly 2 months ago, but on Tuesday, it returned to the city council agenda, this time with the idea that it could move forward at no cost to the city. Still, some say the project comes at a different kind of cost for those living near the Inner Harbor. Neighbors opposing the Inner Harbor desalination project say they will continue pressuring city leaders as plans move forward.
Wondering why your bill looks off? Well, you're not the only one. I'm Stephanie Molina, your neighborhood news reporter in Robstown. I got tagged on Facebook with many of you saying you got billed for misread meters. I reached out to city officials to get some answers. Robstown neighbors are seeing a big spike in their electric bills. Many of them took to Facebook to share what's happening to them. One comment said, I had a $700 bill one time and they told me a new guy read your meter and read it wrong last month. I took these concerns to the Robstown utilities and spoke with Roland Ramos. He tells me they're aware of the issues and are addressing them individually since they are read manually, which could lead to human error. Billing clerk Ricky Guzman says the utility system switched to cell phones to do meter readings, which requires photos for anything that gets flagged or needs verification of. Residents are also urged to monitor their bill. If you notice a change, let the utility system know right away so they can also look into it and address it quickly.
In the saga of THC in Texas, it was at risk of being banned, then vetoed, then at risk again before staying legal with new regulations. But now the federal government is having their say.
We are in the middle of the biggest hemp ban that we've ever faced.
A late provision in the funding bill would see a nationwide ban of hemp-derived products, including THC products such as these, a move that could devastate businesses like Jake Gary's. The provision is said to target intoxicating THC products, with emphasis on the dosage. But on top of banning products like these, Gary says there's a far greater risk to those who depend on the products.
This provides a lot of relief for people that don't have insurance.
Unless any changes are made to the bill, a nationwide ban would go into effect in November of next year. For Chris 6 News, I'm Adam Beam.
Here in Texas, a federal judge temporarily blocked some public schools in the state from displaying the 10 Commandments. Republican Governor Greg Abbott signed the law in June, but a number of families challenged it, arguing the law violates the First Amendment's Establishment Clause. Tuesday's restraining order is temporary, and further court proceedings will determine the law's fate. In redistricting news, a federal court ruled Texas cannot use its newly drawn congressional map in next year's midterm elections. The court said challengers would likely be able to prove the map was the product of unconstitutional racial gerrymandering. The Republican-friendly map made Texas the centerpiece of a national GOP effort to redraw congressional maps ahead of the 2026 midterms. State Republican lawmakers were aiming to produce as many as 5 more GOP-friendly seats next year at President Trump's urging. The court ordered Texas to use its previous map, which the state enacted after the 2020 census. The city's Meals on Wheels program is getting a huge financial boost from HEB. The city council voted on Tuesday to accept a $75,000 donation from HEB. The Parks and Recreation Department's Meals on Wheels program provides home-delivered meals to our senior citizens. This year, the program was able to serve nearly 52,000 meals, and Tuesday's donation will increase that number to more than 9,600.
Well, good Wednesday morning there, Coastal Bend. Taking a live look out at our USS Lexington cam. Thanks to First Community Bank, you can see the new Harbor Bridge in view. A lot of that low cloud cover and just a beautiful sunrise also starting to shape up here in Corpus Christi, sitting at 74 degrees. Those winds out of the south-southwest at 7 miles an hour as well. All of us enjoying that nice southerly flow with plenty of moisture in the air. Temperatures in your neighborhood, 77 degrees, the warm spot in Port Aransas over, as well as the Naval Air Station this morning. Then over in Kingsville, 69 degrees for that cool spot off to the northwest, Cotulla, coming in about 75 degrees, 76 there in Ingleside and Rockport this morning. So not too bad, just definitely the humidity area you can wear as you're stepping out the door. And it's also leading to some patchy fog out there into Kingsville as well as Alice and Robstown. Some of those reduced visibilities to be mindful of, as well as off into Beeville and Rockport and Ingleside. So definitely keep your headlights on, maybe give yourself a couple extra minutes out the door to prepare for that as well. For your dog walking forecast today, here we've got Samantha, or Sam for short, of course, just waiting to go on her walk this Wednesday. And looking at those temperatures for her, going to be about 80 degrees by 9 a.m. Still through those mid-80s by that lunchtime hour with winds out of the south about 10 to 15 miles an hour, and then picking up 15 to 20 miles an hour into the later afternoon. Forecast highs in your neighborhood, those mid-80s along the coast, upper 80s as you work your way inland, very similar to what we saw yesterday. The bad news is that's going to be feeling like the 90s as we're going into those afternoon hours thanks to all the dew points in the 70s. You can see 94 to 95 degrees is what it's going to feel like outside by about 2 to 4 p.m. So definitely bring the water with you and get some shade if you can this afternoon. And then we get into the 80s tonight for those feels like temperatures, and then do it all again, of course, as we head into our Thursday with that moisture still in place. Luckily, that moisture does lead to some isolated shower activity today. You can see maybe a slight overestimation on the model run for this morning, but still could see some spotty activity going through the morning commute hours. But as we go into the afternoon, looks to start clearing up, at least here in Corpus Christi, but then really shaping up into central Texas and the hill country. You could see that swath of moisture really making its way into central Texas through the overnight hours, spreading into tomorrow as well. Mainly going to remain off to the north of the coastal bend for this system, but luckily there's going to be more rain chances on the board by the time we're heading into the weekend and next week, thanks to this next weather maker that's working in from the west coast, finally going to meander its way over the central United States and the Lone Star State by the time we're heading into that Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday time frame, really stirring up those rain chances. Luckily, with that moisture we have in place, hopefully we pick up a good amount of rain. Also going to be seeing a slow cool down into those lower 80s for daytime highs with that next front on the board, cooling off overnight lows from the 70s down to those lower 60s.
Now, 6 things to know before you go.
Another hearing is scheduled Wednesday for former FBI Director James Comey. Comey was charged in September with lying to Congress and obstruction of justice. On Monday, a judge ruled that the Justice Department engaged in a, quote, disturbing pattern of profound investigative missteps in the process of securing an indictment against Comey. The Justice Department responded to the ruling by asking that it be put on hold to give prosecutors time to file objections. A Senate Judiciary Subcommittee is set to hold a hearing Wednesday on the Trump administration's immigration enforcement operations. Most recently, ICE agents arrested more than 80 people during an operation in Charlotte, North Carolina. Immigration operations in other cities like Chicago and Los Angeles have triggered a flurry of lawsuits over agents' use of force. Other lawsuits have questioned the conditions detainees are being held in and their treatment. The minutes from the latest Federal Reserve meeting are scheduled to be released Wednesday afternoon and could give us a better sense of the thought process behind current interest rates. The Fed cut interest rates by 0.25% at its meeting last month after months of holding rates steady. Now, all eyes are on the board's December meeting. Many key economic reports were delayed by the government shutdown, leaving agencies now scrambling to catch up before the Fed's next interest rate meeting in a couple of weeks. And city leaders passed the first reading to reduce the speed limit on South Staples Street between Saratoga and King Trail Drive from 50 to 45 miles per hour. Business owners along the busy corridor say they've witnessed too many drivers speeding and crashes. According to TxDOT, there have been over 150 speed-related crashes in this stretch since 2022. The ordinance also proposes to increase the speed limit from Gilead Road to County Road 47 from 55 to 65 miles per hour. The second and final vote is expected to take place on December 9th. And another vote at Tuesday's council meeting will mean millions of dollars for 2 water projects. One of those projects is the Nueces River Groundwater Project. City Council authorized the submission for a grant application in the amount of $30 million. The grant is from the Texas Water Development Board, and it would be for the costs of the Nueces River Groundwater Wells Project. Also at City Council yesterday, a grant application for $16 million was approved for the Mary Roads pipeline, funding the upgrades for it. Tuesday's vote only gives the okay to apply for the grant money. Approval from the Texas Water Development Board is still pending. And if you're in need of a plumber, chances are you may find the smallest fixes come with much bigger bills. Scripps News Group consumer reporter John Matarese looks at ways to keep plumbing costs in check so you don't waste your money.
Just like water in a clogged sink, plumbing prices are rising, and not just because of inflation. But with a little handiwork, you may be able to save yourself hundreds of dollars.
Debbie Steiner had a small water issue.
The faucet right here was dripping.
She called a plumber who said she needed a new cartridge.
And he said he could take care of it that day if I wanted to. He had the parts on the truck.
So she gave the company the okay.
It was about a $26 part. And he wasn't down there more than a half an hour.
But she almost needed a cold shower when her plumber presented her the bill.
$543.
Did you think maybe it was wrong?
I thought it was high, and I said it was terribly high. And he said, well, that's what plumbing costs nowadays. It's very expensive.
Higher bills may come as a shock, but the reasons behind them are no surprise.
Copper fittings, water heaters are all things that we've seen increase 40 to 50%.
It's the materials and the people, the transportation.
Skilled tradespeople are extremely hard to find.
These plumbing pros both recommend making some small repairs yourself.
Garbage disposals that are jammed, you can tighten faucet handles, you can replace toilet flappers.
Both of their companies even post plumbing tips and DIY hacks to help customers save.
And you drop the food coloring inside the toilet tank here.
They say always call a professional when gas, venting, or electrical work is involved. And if you're unsure, a DIY won't be worth it. When hiring a company, get several quotes to compare prices and read reviews to make sure you're hiring a trustworthy plumber. Debbie suggests you ask for an itemized breakdown up front.
They need to check that before they agree to anything.
That way you know what you're getting and you don't waste your money. John Mattery, Scripps News Group.
And here's a look at what's trending. Musical lovers and Ariana Grande fanatics rejoice. Wicked for Good comes out in theaters this Friday. The follow-up to the hit musical centers around the now demonized Wicked Witch of the West, Elphaba, who lives in exile, while her once friend Glinda resides at the palace in Emerald City. As an angry mob rises against the Wicked Witch, she'll need to reunite with Glinda to transform herself and all of Oz for good. You know, I know it said it premieres this week, but we had two people at the station see it early. We had our musical fanatic Adam Beam see it. He dressed up, I want to say he dressed up as the wizard, I believe. Okay. I think that's the thing. Amazing costume. And our manager, Ronnie, apparently also went to go see it too.
Really?
So we'll have to ask her if she liked it. Yes. So maybe we can, try it out ourselves at one point.
Yeah, definitely got to get some reviews on it. I haven't heard too much because I know, neither of us have seen it. But if we're going to see that sequel, we'll definitely have to see the first one, of course.
Yes, we have to. I remember, the old Wizard of Oz, the original, that was good. So this is a musical. That's great.
We'll see. Yeah, I think we'll see. I think they can pull it off with, it's got a lot of fans, so it's got to be pretty good, I would
Absolutely, and a lot of famous people who put in all this work, too. It amazes me.
Oh, absolutely. So it's looking pretty good, but as we work into the weather, I wish it was looking a little bit cooler and a little bit better, at least in my opinion, out there. A little bit cooler would be nice, but still going to be a little humid as we're starting off our Wednesday morning. Here's a live look out at Snoopy's Pier, brought to us by Matthew CCAC, sitting at 77 degrees with those winds out of the southeast 5 to 10 miles an hour. The causeway in view. You can see a few cars starting to take it as well as we're heading closer to that 7 a.m. hour, and a lot of thick cloud cover out there right now with dew points in the 70s. Even some patchy fog trying to develop, or really is already developing in some of our inland communities. First, taking a look back at yesterday, it was a record-chasing Tuesday. We got up to 88 degrees. That record was 90 degrees back from 2017. The morning lows, not so close, about 42 degrees off from that record of 30 back from 1959. And of course, almost up to 13 inches of rain needed to make up for 2025, but luckily there is some back on the board. First, looking at your temperatures in your neighborhood, 69 degrees over in Kingsville, the cool spot this morning, 77 at the Naval Air Station as well as Port Aransas is going to be the warm end of that, and off towards the northwest in Cotulla coming in about 75 degrees, so not too bad, just dealing with that air you can wear as we're starting off our Wednesday. And like I said, some of that patchy fog has definitely developed across some of our inland communities, especially Alice into Kingsville and then Robstown as well, seeing some of that reduced visibility, so keep your headlights on and give yourself a couple extra minutes out the door this morning. We're seeing that even spread into some of our northern communities. Rockport reading about 3 miles of visibility. Beeville coming in at 7. Whenever we're planning out our Wednesday here in Corpus Christi, you can see expecting those mid-80s already by the time we're heading into that lunchtime hour, only warming up just a little bit more. 87 degrees, the number I'm looking for that daytime high here in Corpus Christi. Unfortunately going to feel quite a bit warmer, but luckily we do get some isolated showers in as well, so hopefully we'll take every drop we can get. Those forecast highs in your neighborhood going to be those upper 80s, similar to here in Corpus Christi as you work your way inland. The mid-80s there along the coast. As we're going into those feels like temperatures, though, unfortunately, like I said, going to feel quite a bit warmer, getting into those mid-90s by 2 to 4 p.m., 94 and 5 degrees there. So definitely just give yourself a little extra shade. Keep the water with you as we're going through the afternoon before we do it all again going into our Thursday. For your future tracker this morning, could see a little bit of isolated shower activity for that morning commute. Then it really looks to clear up as we're heading into the afternoon hours, and then the main story going to be off towards the Hill Country and Central Texas with this next development. You can see pretty explosive there going going into the hill country. So we'll see how much rain we pick up, and really we could see some into the northern areas of the watershed as well. So hopefully we start to pick up a good amount there that makes its way down into our reservoirs. Looking at that 7-day forecast, you can see where we're going to have the rain chances make their return to the board. A nice cool down by the time we're heading into next week. Only those lower 80s with that cold front cooling off overnight lows from the lower 70s to those lower 60s by Monday night. So not too bad, Michaela.
Not too bad at all. Again, I'm just loving those ending temperatures, those 60s. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, you know, I'm excited for some of the 60s and definitely some drier air. You know, we've been dealing with it pretty much all week, and still these next few days, we're going to be dealing with that condensation on the windshield, I should say, in the morning.
Turn on those windshield wipers.
Yeah, turn on the windshield wipers. Just be prepared for all that humidity, and it feels like temperatures, the 90s, not very November-like, but
no,
there's hope on the horizon at least.
That's just South Texas, I guess.
Yeah, that's South Texas.
Alrighty, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Sunrise this hump day, and we'll see you later today at noon.